Welcome to the official TSS podcast, Keep It Simple, where we sit down every week to discuss anything and everything under the sun that has to do with personal finance. And we try to keep it simple, of course. I'm Soap, the content writer for TSS.
And I'm Pris, the graphic designer for TSS, and we'll be your host for this podcast.
Hi Soap.
Hi Pris.
Okay, so what are we gonna talk about today? The Celebrate Phase 2. Wait, I shouldn't hype it up, right?
Yeah, because this is not really a topic to celebrate about. Because we're going to talk about recessions. Well, actually, recession this year. Yeah, and how it affects fresh graduates in these times. Companies have either slowed down their own hiring or they've stopped it completely. So that spells a lot of trouble for fresh grads who are trying to look for a job now that they're done with their studies. I think this is like a huge point of concern for most of them.
Yeah, I would totally be super concerned if I were to graduate in this time. I'll be like, oh, I can't even get a job. My starting pay will be like so low.
Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of concerns.
I saw there's this like article that I saw on Straits Times. In fact, Q1 was actually the biggest ever quarterly decline in employed people in Singapore.
I think it's not surprising because, COVID has hit a lot of industries pretty hard, especially with tourism, hospitality, I think even F&B.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I think, there are lesser jobs on the market, and that's also why the government is trying to create more jobs, keep the economy alive, basically. So with all these concerns at the front of everyone's minds, how do we survive a time like this? Even though me and Pris, we're not fresh grads, hopefully we'll come to some solutions for all you worried fresh grads out there. And I think one way to do that is to look at what people before us have done, because this is definitely not the first recession we faced. There have been recessions in 2008, even before that in 1997. And I think it's worth our time to look back at what's happened before to see if, there are any solutions that we can use. I want to bring up this study conducted on university students and graduates a while back. Disclaimer though, this is a Canadian study, but I think their findings are quite universal. So this research was conducted on Canadian students who graduated around the time of the 2008 recession, and it explored the effects that the financial event had on career progressions. One of the main points was that if you graduate in a recession, it will lead to losses in your earnings initially. So these losses can go up to about 9% of your annual earnings, and it's not just for like the next 5 years, it could go up to even 10 years. Can you imagine going through the next 10 years, fresh out of school, earning a lower salary than you actually thought you would earn?
Yes, 10 years is a long time. I can like give birth to a kid and then like raise the kid up, and then like the kid can fend for himself already.
That's right. At 10 years old,
Sorry.
your kid can fend for himself.
I'm joking.
Okay. If you graduate at 24, you're gonna be 34 or 35 by the time you recover from this financial event, basically. But the good news is the study details how someone can close that pay gap, which we'll be going through later.
Okay, so I know in 2008 I was 14.
I was 13 years old during that time.
So I know that both of us have not been through what most fresh grads now y'all are going through. So instead of hearing from two noobs who have never experienced a recession, we can hear from the experience of our friend Geraldine, who was a fresh grad during 2008, and how it affected her, as well as how she managed to overcome the pay gap that came with graduating during a recession.
After 6 months, I went on to find another job and finally found one related to marketing. With work experience and also because the economy was improving, the next job search was much easier and faster. And also I had a nice pay bump of $500. Over the last 10 to 11 years, I kept moving. I went on to like companies of different sizes, different industry, and each job actually allowed me to learn more specialized skills, which helped me move up the career ladder. My salary also increased along with it lah. Eventually, I became a digital marketing manager.
The sobering part of the study is that those with lower skills suffered a lifelong pay gap. So as we can see, skills do play a huge role. Geraldine's experience actually mirrors the most important findings of the study, how one can actually overcome the pay gap. But first, we really have to ask, why do graduates earn less in a recession anyway? It's simply because graduates are forced to start their careers with smaller companies that don't pay as well. The study later found the reason why graduates were able to catch up in the end, by job hopping. So most of the catch up in terms of salary bumps is done this way. Just like Geraldine, fresh grads can quickly move on and find better employers once the economy begins to improve. The remaining pay gap can be closed up by specializing and building industry-specific skills. if you're not as proficient as the next candidate, then your progression up the ladder will be that much harder. Your climb for a higher salary will take that much longer.
Yep, exactly. And while for those with more skills and a higher starting salary, the effects are actually small and short-lived.
Yeah, which I think makes sense because your experiences, your skills, they're very much tied to how much salary you're gonna draw. And that actually reminds me of my own experience when I decided to quit my first job. I'd been working there for 2.5 years at this particular company. The reason why I wanted to leave was because I felt that the company I was working at wasn't giving me the relevant experience and skills I needed to become a writer, basically. I mean, I was writing at my first company, but it was basically ghostwriting, and I couldn't use any of the things I did there in my creative portfolio because it wasn't creative writing. At the time, I was just a diploma graduate, right? And I thought to myself, okay, this company is going to offer me above 2K. I think I could live with this for a while, just earn the money, and then we'll see how it goes from there. I looked at my resume after I think 2 years, and then I realized, oh, well, this company's not going to give me the experience I need to move on to become like a content writer or copywriter. Yeah, so after I quit, what I did was I went into freelancing because I had no portfolio, remember? So I needed to build a portfolio.
Yeah.
So the rational thing to do is to start freelancing, start building up a list of works that I've done, basically, to hopefully get a better full-time job in the future. So that's what I did for the first 6 months after I quit. And I took a 75% pay cut, by the way. I was earning 500 or less every month in my time as a freelancer because there weren't a lot of clients at the time. I didn't know anyone as well.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, I started from ground zero. And after that, I took on an internship, which still wasn't much. So my pay kind of stayed on the low side for a whole year. It was the longest year of my life, but I'm glad I made it. Yeah, but eventually I made it because once that year ended, I found a job with TSS.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so
She made it!
I made it! Damn.
You made it!
Yeah, and I was very much motivated by getting the right experience, learning the right skills, building a portfolio from the ground up. So I think for me, the moral of the story really was that, what I had to do was to keep my eyes on the prize. I couldn't control the fact that the pay was very low, but I could control everything else, which was that I just needed to work hard. And in the end, the year I spent upskilling myself, it really helped me to position myself better in the market. It also links back to the whole worry about the salary issue. Like, clearly, I didn't have the required experience to work in the job that I wanted to work in. But then after I got that experience, I did get to where I wanted to go. My salary did increase. So, a happy ending for all.
But I 100% agree with you, so I think that 1 year was really a sacrifice that was well worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think anywhere where you get new experiences and you manage to upskill yourself, for sure.
Yeah, I think because my focus wasn't on the numbers, on the money that I was earning. It was really about the value that I could get out of a whole year of just doing what I should be doing lah.
Yeah.
I think for fresh grads who are struggling with this recession, if you guys can't find a job right now and you're worried that you'll never be able to get a job, what you guys can do, like I said, focus on the things you can control, which is basically yourself and your own skills. Pick up a new skill, or if you're a creative or you want to go into a creative career, you can start personal projects, right? As a designer, do you have any advice for them, Pris?
Yeah, I have some. So when I was in my full-time job last time, I did a lot of freelance jobs, freelance projects that eventually contributed a lot to my portfolio. I also did like a lot of personal projects. I think those are really fun for me. I didn't do them for the sake of like, oh, if I do this, I could get a better job next time. I just did it because it was enjoyable to me. And just upskilling doesn't mean that it has to be super boring or super client-based, you know what I mean? It could be something that you are really passionate about and people can see that. People can sense that.
And I think if you show employers your passion projects, I think they can really
Definitely.
appreciate a candidate who really loves their work. That's going to make you an even more valuable candidate, I think.
Yeah, it shows like proactiveness as well.
Yeah.
And that you can actually handle doing a project by yourself.
Yeah. So there's no harm in going into personal projects, actually. I mean, we've On
Yeah.
TSS, we've done a few interviews with interesting people who have made very interesting side hustles. Like the time I interviewed a couple of YouTubers, basically, who just create videos from their love for claw machines. You know those arcade games?
Oh my god, yeah.
I'm damn bad at them,
Yeah,
but they're so...
I saw that, I was like, wow, I want to do that too.
Right, and they just spend all their time making like videos where they're just at the arcade winning tickets and stuff, and it's become a side hustle for them. And
Yeah.
this also reminds me of the other story that we did where an artist on Patreon, she's really chasing her passions and she's got like a sizable following and she's really enjoying what she does. And I think that kind of, I don't feel like it's time wasted, you know, even though they're not really making like so-called full-time salaries. I think it's still worth it in the long run.
Yeah.
It really says a lot about you
Yeah, I
to
agree.
commit to something like that, to make something out of your passion and your skills, basically. Yeah.
So now we know that salary isn't everything and experience matters as well. But, you know, having a low salary still sucks, right? So focus on upskilling during this tough time and a salary increment will naturally follow.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time because the more skills you have, I mean, employers are going to look at your skill set and be like, yeah, it's reasonable to pay this person more. They're more proficient.
You can like train yourself to be a rare Pokemon, you know. You can be an illustrator and a programmer. Oh my god, like rare limited edition. Employers will rush to cop that hot drop for your services.
It's true. Yeah. So, I mean, even during this recession, even if things seem like they're not going to happen for you for a while, like we said, focus on the things you can control. And the only thing you can control is yourself.
Definitely. But sometimes I can't control myself
I mean, that's like your problem, right?
around like chips,
mean,
you know. It's like
That's a you problem,
Never ending.
okay? Like, it has nothing to do with our innocent audience, so...
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for trying to relate myself to other people.
Okay. That's a wrap on another episode of Keep It Simple. If you like what you hear, remember to leave us a review on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Remember to also share this with your family and friends. Stay tuned for more episodes every week, and until then, keep it simple. Bye!